Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming up for this quick lecture, very quick, to see what's going on here. Now, for the internship, what they're doing is essentially writing articles, or you, on fake news. So how do you go about this? Well, first you pick a theme, right? So in this individual, which she said did a pretty decent job, did combating fake news and disinformation, illegal and policy analysis of the January 6th. Right. So right there you have a theme. That person was interested in this. So they, gave an essay on this. And it's only 6 pages. It's not that long if you notice. So, it talks a little about what fake news is and applies it to the January 6th riot. So it gets into all of these things. And also what we like about it is like, what are the legal barriers to combating fake news? So not only do they get into fake news, but can you really even, let's say, create laws to hinder the development and spreading of fake news? And what is fake news? How do you define it? Is it just something you don't like? So that gets into a lot of issues that you probably write a dissertation about, but for here, you're just writing like a 5-6 page paper. So this person really focused on January 6th and, the riots in North America, obviously the United States, to overthrow democracy, and all of the issues surrounding it in relation to fake news. So it's pretty good. And he or she gets into the kind of the legal issues of fake news. And that's pretty interesting. Like it says here, legal barriers, and the appropriate legal structure for the region. This other student did an interesting one, censorship laws in relation to drug trafficking in Arizona. Again, this is a specific state, Arizona, like the other one, Washington, D.C. But then it applies fake news to the idea of drug trafficking in Arizona. So it's actually pretty interesting. Fentanyl is a huge thing. I didn't even know really what it was until we talked about it with the students. And then it gets into fake news and disinformation on this issue, and then in relation specifically to Arizona, and then a conclusion. This one here did a pretty good job. This is basically just media and fake news, right? And this is the implication legalities from within the United States. So focusing within the United States, and then focuses on, internet platforms like TikTok, YouTube, etc. So I like how they define it, and so did the think tank. The disinformation can be defined as variably false. I mean, it is taken from a source, but you want to define what fake news is, and you don't have to follow these exact ways. These are just ideas on how to go about it. So you have a theme. You can talk about the fake news that surrounds that theme. It can be like, for example, climate change. A lot of students did. That was pretty interesting. And other issues. This obviously does drug trafficking, and the other one did January 6th. So you pick a theme, and then you talk about the fake news around it. And then if you want to go to law school, what's really interesting is then you focus on the legality. Like that's what I think a lot of these students did. If you notice, they're protected under the First Amendment, and then the tensions around these things you could do. But what are the policy implications? Is there a way to stop fake news, and should we stop fake news? So it's also a philosophical issue. And this is another one. What I like about this one, it lays out, and I think she did too, the one who's in charge of the think tank. She basically, he or she just basically wrote it like introduction, disinformation, and then you go down here, cost of misinformation. That's a pretty interesting, unique twist to it. What's the cost of this? As the other one talked about harming people's lives, etc. And then policy responses. So you can do something like that where it's really laid out in policy steps. So this one really gives you, it just lays out each of the points that it wants to communicate. And this one was 8 pages long, which is fine. Yours can be, let's say, hit the 5th page at least. Okay. So these are just some kind of examples of how to go about researching this project and organizing it in a way that's, kind of, you can communicate this to the think tank. And then after, there's a short video on how do you put this on your resume. And this is basically doing research, not for a professor at a university, but for a specific think tank or non-governmental organization, whatever you want to call it. So you should watch that one as well. So I hope this kind of clears up to a certain degree what's going on with this internship, but it's kind of cool because you can essentially just research any subject you want and then apply the idea of fake news on it. So if you're interested, like climate change was a big one, many students did. That's a pretty interesting subject. And is there a lot of disinformation related to this? It's the Supreme Court. You could do any kind of issue you could do. It's really, that's what makes this, I think, kind of interesting, is that the theme itself is pretty, there's a broad spectrum of themes that you could choose from, like, I mean, an infinite amount, to be honest with you. So it's kind of an interesting thing. You just have to basically apply fake news to it, and then maybe policy options. And if you want to be a lawyer, really do good research on the extent to which we can do that in the United States or Canada. I don't think many did Canada, but the think tank is in Canada. So you might want to, there might be something cool going on there, but I doubt it in Canada. I'm just kidding. I'm sure there is. But that's it. Take care, everybody. And thanks for watching.